We are going to discuss one more important topic, that is Apex, Salesforce Apex. So far we discussed admin things, what are the required things we need to understand in the admin part. So when it comes to development, we have to start with Apex. So it's very important topic. So today our agenda is what is Apex and understanding Apex core concept, when do you use Apex and how Apex will work. These are the things we are going to discuss today. So what is Apex? So Apex is a strongly typed object-oriented programming language that allows user to perform the transactional control statements on the server. So here I mentioned two keywords like a strongly typed and object-oriented programming language. So what is meant by object-oriented programming language? So if you call any programming language as object-oriented programming language, so it should obey certain principles. So those are called object-oriented programming. That means it have a classes and it have objects. You are going to create the instant of the class, that is the object, by using the new keyword, and you are going to invoke the methods by using that one. So Apex syntax is very similar to Java. So here I want to remind you, this Java also object-oriented programming. If you see the Apex and Java, the syntax is very similar, like assignments, looping, and everything. Most of the times you are writing a code in the Java. And this Apex will act like a data stored procedure. So what is data stored procedure? So usually in any traditional database like SQL, MySQL or Postgres, so if you want to query any data, we are going to write the SQL statements. So these SQL statements, if you bundle 2-3 statements or 10 statements together, it is called as stored procedure. So this Apex also act like a stored procedure. And Apex enable developer to perform business logic for most system events like button click, record updates, and Visual Force page. So this Apex we are using for system events, like if you have a Visual Force page where you have a button and click on that button, if you want to perform some operations like a delete, update, insert. So this we can able to achieve by using the Apex. So I given one example here. This is diagram will show. So this is a Visual Force page where I have a button called delete. So on click of this delete button, I want to delete the records from the object. So here when I click the button, so I am going to invoke Apex class, so which will perform this delete operation. So this is what is Apex. So here as a language, it's integrated, easy to use, data focused, rigorous, hosted, multi-tenant aware, easy to test. I will discuss some of these things. Integrated. So this Apex is very closely, this is running on the cloud platform, and by using this integrated this thing, you are able to perform certain DML operations like insert, update, delete, and you can able to perform SOQL and SOSL, that is Salesforce Object Query Language and Salesforce Search Language. So these we are going to discuss in another video, because this is also one of the important and little bit bigger also. And you can able to perform the bulk operations by looping over it, and easy to use. That means it's the syntax, if you see, it's very similar to Java. That means assignments, conditional operators, syntax is very similar to Java, and it's very easy to use. And data focused, and it's a rigorous and hosted. So hosted is a multi-tenant platform. This is already hosted in the force.com platform, multi-tenant aware. This is one thing I want to explain. So this already we discussed, Salesforce is a multi-tenant platform, right? So the code you are written in Apex, it's going to run on the cloud platform. So this cloud platform is a resource specific, and you need to very carefully you need to write your queries. For example, if you written one select statement without putting any where condition, if that object have lot of records, it will take lot of system resources, and you are monopolizing all the shared resources. So to avoid these kind of things, what Salesforce did, they imposed certain governing limits. That means if you write SOQL query, it has certain limits. If you are doing any SOSL, it has a certain limits. That is called governing limits. So that means they are preventing you to monopolizing the shared resources. That means these resources are common to everyone, every organization. So if you put this kind of queries, it will take lot of system resources. They are going to avoid by using the governing limits. So we should aware what is the governing limits for what is the operation you are performing, and easy to test. So once you written Apex class, for each Apex class you need to create a test class. So this test class should have at least 75% to move to the production. So the overall coverage should be at least 75%. not at least, it should have 75% coverage. So when to use the Apex? So Salesforce, we already discussed, it came with a lot of out of the box features. So we can able to perform most of our operation by using the click tools. But in certain case, these click tools will not able to help for our business needs. So that time we need to go for the customization. So when it comes to customization, we are mostly depending on the Apex. So these are the certain use cases where we are going for the Apex. So for example, if you want to integrate with some other external system by using web services, we will use the Apex. And if you want to create any email services and complex validation on multiple objects, suppose you want to perform some validation on multiple objects, so we cannot able to perform by using out of the box features, so we are going for the Apex. And if you want to perform some transactional logic like DML operation and custom logic based on the click events, so these things, if it is your requirement, so certainly you need to use the Apex. And how does this Apex will work? So if you see this diagram, it will clearly show how the Apex will work. So the developer user, what he is going to do is he return one Apex class at trigger. So this is uncompiled. Once he compiled this one by using Apex compiler, it's going to save as a metadata in the data storage. So when end user requested, so the Apex runtime, what it will do, it will get this metadata and it will going to return the result to the user. So like a standard functionality. So this is how Apex will work. So thank you guys.